Before we get all started, I'll tell you guys one thing. I would be pronouncing some of the legendaries incorrectly, such as this guy right here. I would pronounce Rayquaza's name Rayquaza, due to I'm used to that. So I would be pronouncing Arceus' name as Arceus, due to that it floats off my tongue a lot easier. With that out of the way, let's get started! Court is adjourned. Arceus sighed in relief as the legendaries disappeared in their seats among the jury stands, leaving the meeting room of the Hall of Legends, a temple in the heavens above Earth, where legendaries discuss various things in orderly fashion. The conference had ended only seconds ago. The matters they debated on involving many suggestions towards better living styles for the aforementioned planets and habitations, as well as the possible ideas for making the rules of natural order remain in balance. The killing-like being slowly stepped down from his pedestal that overlooked the room, giving the appearance of a judge in the court-like dormitory. The legendaries had left, leaving him only occupants among the golden halls of the Hall of Legends, and also gave him time to think over the new problems that had surfaced within his mind upon the prior conference. More natural disasters have been listed. Other new diseases have been found. And worse, his favorite soap opera, Desperate Dream Lives, has postponed its new season until next year. It didn't end there, either. Among the Armageddon that was harassing Earth, post-apocalyptic mayhem had already swarmed over the legendaries. Counterparts had been fighting against counterparts, always bickering with one another. It's hard to believe that some people actually thought counterparts were best mates to each other. Why, not too long ago, Dialga had fought against Palkia in Alamos Town, practically sending the whole community into a hellish world that's located between dimensions. Of course, Darkrai was there to help. But after the battle it was over, he returned to his island to come face to face with his counterpart, Crelestia, who nearly slammed dunked him for being almost killed. Stress was everywhere, to make a long story short. Arceus had begun to wonder if he'd ever crack a smile. His job as god required him to be serious, and the word that gave him it oxymoronic for him to be even smirk. His gold eyes were always filled with determination and stern, as well as melancholy, whatever a situation he was faced held sad attributes. Despite that he constructed everything that made life the way it was, he didn't know the simple definition of content, regardless of how many times he had seen the other legendaries display such happiness. There is no room in his schedule for playtime, definitely with having to balance it with guarding the world and listening to the legendaries, wherever they needed to talk to him for guidance. He had always given them great advice, little things that convinced them to smile, though his own words never brought a grin to his face. The god Pokemon let a large sigh through his nostrils, although it failed to add the symbol of exhaustion to his elegant contents. His gold hooves were shining like the tiles below their stilt-like structure. The matching arc that occupied his middle abdomen glittered as well in the overhead lights. Despite that his mere appearance caused even the legendaries to sometimes gape in awe, as he had a halo of pure holiness above his head. The turmoil inside his chubby body was all he needed in order to feel like he was going to explode from worry of everything around him. He wanted to scream, but held it in to avoid hearing his proud, strong voice being echoed across the hallways as a feminine-like wail. He had enough humiliation just by knowing he was stressed out. To help out his good mind off the stretch, he allowed his thoughts to return to good things that I mentioned during the good morning meeting. Raikou had settled a peace treaty between two Pokemon tribes in the Alex district. Good. Heatran and Shaman were contemplating on attempting to grow more yards of flowers on Star Mountain to permanently Earth. Aw, that's nice of them. Recent rainy days assured that plentiful crops were given to farmers all over the regions. Great. Arceus took a deep break. At least there's some good news to think about. Things had been looking forward to. Slowly, his mind drifted into an actual meeting itself. Somehow finding a way to ponder on the attendance of the conference, Arceus had noticed something during the whole incident that almost every legendary had been accounted for. When gazing upon the jury stands with his gold eyes, he realized a lack of a certain infamous small cat-like Pokemon who believed to be counted as the goddess of the world, when his presence remained unmentioned. The said Pediatric legendary known as Mew was also known to be childish and envious to have fun at all times, which explained Arceus' lack of trusting towards her on situations requiring her attention. Although he wondered why she hadn't showed up, when she was actually the first there in 5 hours ahead of time. Arceus didn't want to worry about other things. His stomach was burning already with the worries of the topic mentioned before. Always thinking that the good things stated in the meeting was nowhere near countering the bad things. He wouldn't be surprised that just by thinking of the legendaries, inner quarrels brought him a severe headache. His stomach was uncerlating from the anxiousness of that and the problems of his life and on Earth. The Quillen-like Pokemon grown in annoyance. He was God. God don't stress. They don't stress, right? Arceus' curiosity on why Mew was absent kept plaguing his mind. He tried not to think about it, to relax the only attempt that he could do. It was hard not to think about something when it was a situation that required thinking. Thinking about Arceus' thought was something that he thought he can avoid thinking about when rather not thinking about it, or as others thought was thoughtlessly inevitable. Alright, now his head really hurts. As if on cue, the doors into the rooms burst open, snapping Arceus away from his confusing thoughts, to only bring his gold eyes to rest upon the floating body of none other than Mew. Her large eyes displayed oxymorically hues of what seemed to be horror, perhaps slight repugnance, when contorted her whole face into a facade of feared disgust. The god Pokemon quirked his eyebrows among seeing such an enormous look among her features, but nonetheless shook it as a way it was nothing. Instead, stepped forward with his eyes regaining a mix of semblance of both annoyance and a tinge of curiosity. Mew, he began, voice slow and deep as ever, which hid the ease of jumping as he tried to enter. Where have you been? You missed the meeting. Despite he had a scolding tone, because he knew she was aware of how important daily meetings were, the cat-like Pokemon only shook slightly, as if afraid, or seeing witness something that would scar her for the rest of her life. Arceus pulled back, eyebrowing arguingly full to do Mew's random action, which, when compared to her daily immature ways, seemed out of ordinary. Mew? He began calling to her, as if trying to verify if she lied or not. Are you okay? Mew slowly turned her widened gaze to Arceus, muttering out ever so slowly, I saw things. Arceus frowned and confused. What do you mean? The cat-like Pokemon slowly floated forward, stopping when she was a few feet away from his figure. She was shaking like the end of an Ekans tail, or her own long tail limp like a dead limb, eyes still widened as she looked as she was on the verge of screaming. The god Pokemon in front of her deepened his frown, knowing her was all praying for a human's purpose. As for the record, she had pranked every legendary of the council instead of him, though this was probably in order to avoid getting punished for her. However, even then, with the way she looked, her pupil dilated, her pink fur peeling into a shaded white. She looked as if he was going to vomit in a matter of seconds, which is why Arceus took a cautious step backwards over assumed range of fire. Mew. He spoke again, this time more warning in his tone. What is wrong? Mew looked at him, and she mouthed two names before muttering out and sounding. Mewtwo. Deoxys. Oh, it's like Arceus. Deoxys. Arceus' eyes narrowed, finding the dramatic moment not so dramatic. Mewtwo, the man-made Pokemon who was a clone of Mew and therefore her brother. And Deoxys, the space virus that touched down to Earth and soon found the place to be home, which were included to be part of the legendary team. However, they had spoken to him last night, stating that the evil crime syndicate, Team Rocket, was up to no good. They had requested to be excused from today's meeting in order to survey the nearby rocket base for the entire day. Arceus trusted them. They had proven itself countless times to be a Pokemon one could count on, so he allowed them to be dismissed from the morning meeting. If nothing had happened with Team Rocket, they were still allowed to skip the meeting, seeing how they were watching the base all through the night. Of course, looking at Mew's face of horror, the situation of two genetic Pokemon placed itself in, a new worry applied through Arceus' mind. Are they okay? He asked somewhat hesitantly, fearing the worst based on Mew was portraying. Has Team Rocket captured him or something? Mew stared at him as if from another planet, but her prior expression turned shook her head. No, they came to her cave not too long ago. So that was a false alarm. Arceus blinked, then sighed in relief. I have two less problems for him to stress over. Mewtwo and Deoxys' possible demise, and new devious plans from Team Rocket. However, Mew's expression was left unexplained, such as why Mewtwo and Deoxys were involved in. What's the problem then? He asked, sounding annoyed, seeing how the Quinlan-like Pokemon can already predict that she was being melodramatic over top of that was bothering her. I saw them, she mumbled. You saw them what? Doing it. Doing what? It. What's it? I saw them. Yes, I know. What were they doing? It. Arceus groaned in annoyance. It was obvious that he was getting nowhere with this, and Mew repeating herself as she was mentally unstable. He was aware that she stayed with Mewtwo in his cave due to the fact that they're technically related, and after Mewtwo began to talk to Deoxys, a relationship of some sort flourished between them. And thus said female space virus soon moved in with a man-made Pokemon. Mew didn't mind having her as a roommate, as he mentioned countless times that she was happy that Mewtwo had found someone to be with so he wouldn't be alone. In fact, Mew adored Deoxys like a big sister, and her, Deoxys, and Mewtwo had formed a sort of trio, to say the least. Now, however, Mew was speaking of them as if they had been murdered someone, and whatever it she spoken of meant, Arceus wasn't sure, nor did he sort of want to. No doubting was it something horrific without bringing Mew the being to always find reason to laugh about any situation no matter how dark her side was, to near tears. She was young at heart, but when it came to something she was sensitive as well. Oh goody. Arceus thought as the recent responsibilities of what it meant ran laugh through his mind. Another problem to worry about. I got up early. Mew began again, voice trancing like before, leaving Arceus staring in confusion. I was going to wake Mewtwo and Deoxys getting ready for today's meeting, but then I got to their room. She began to shake, whimpering. It was ready to burst into tears, provoked by horrific memories. Arceus leaned forward, as if physically implying her to finish, or at least tried to get her best to. He still wasn't sure what he was trying to say. Go on, he muttered, obviously intending to egg the rest out of her. Mew took a deep breath, then too, her paws wrapped around her as if to reserve whatever warmth still resided within. I saw them, Arceus arched his eyebrow. On the ground. Arceus blinked, and the last part of the sentence came out on her mouth in a whisper barely loud enough for him to hear. On top of each other. As all hell broke in the mission of these last words, Arceus pulled back. Both his eyes widened and his black face crumbled into a blush. Darn motorcycles! Oh, that's what she meant by it. If recalled correctly, no one had ever explained the concept of Pidgeys and the bee drills to Mew, but apparently she knew something about it because she looked horrified as any younger sister would when she caught one sight of her big brother doing that with his girlfriend. Every nerve in Arceus was frozen, and suddenly, with the fear of having explained it all in detail in Mew and what they're actually doing, so tried to assure that the access was a very beautiful and natural thing. Grew silent like a manifesting parasite. Why him? Just why? He had thought enough problems to worry about. Of course, when he thought about it, both Mew and Deoxys were honorable members of the Legendary Council, having always followed the basic rules of all guardians of natural balance. One of the main rules of a council that was, although regular relationships were fine, mating wasn't allowed to due to the fact that it had a high risk of bringing new species of legendary Pokemon out in the open. Knowing this, as well as Mewtwo and Deoxys dedicated to the council, then performed the act with complete out of character, which by Arceus couldn't help but be skeptical and have doubts. That's why I'm late. Mew suddenly started again, earning Arceus' undivided attention. After I saw them, I ran away, and hid for the next few hours. Arceus frowned. He was convinced by the aforementioned facts that Mewtwo and Deoxys wanted to do such a thing. Because of this, he replied, Mew, I think you interpreted it wrong. Mewtwo and Deoxys are dedicated to the Council. They have never break such an important rule.